I wanted to bring you on and I wanted to chat with you because I just remember the first time that we met. It was I mean, it was like anybody else that I do like a free consultation with. Usually people are just a mess because they've gone through an extreme divorce, they've gone through an extreme breakup, and they're just kind of like in like the thick of it, right? And so that's kind of how our meeting went. Honestly, like the way I remember it was, I mean, you could barely get a couple words out without wanting to fall apart right then and there, you know? And so I just kind of want you to walk me through or tell anybody that's listening like where you were at on that first call.
Well, I had it'd probably been about a month, maybe 6 weeks, and I was still in a, I'd say, state of confusion. Didn't know, still was trying to process stuff. Nothing made sense to me. I kind of had a vision or plan in my head of how the rest of my life was going to go,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that came to an end. So every day I just asked, now what? Now what am I going to do? Um, as I'd say, I felt stuck and I wasn't moving
Yeah.
forward or nothing, and just a lot of why, and nothing. Couldn't get an answer to that. So
Because you also had no contact with her, right? So it was like even if you wanted to ask why, you weren't even asking why to her, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I figured that was best.
Yeah. And what were the three, if you could name three takeaways, what would those three takeaways be of like just working with me?
The number one and by far the biggest one is I don't need anybody or anything else to make me happy or to control my happiness. That comes from within,
Yeah.
and that was probably the first place we started, and has
Yeah.
probably made the biggest difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that hard to do for you, bro?
Yes, I was. I wouldn't say I was true codependent, but my happiness was making other people happy. Giving to others is what made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I realized that shouldn't be the case. I should make myself happy first, and then when my cup overflows, then give
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because you also kind of had some like resentment of like I gave so much and it wasn't enough, right?
Yes. You
Um
always feel like, yeah, there's always something more you could do, but it's
mhm.
just not the case.
Yeah, and that's like it's interesting because that's kind of what I teach also, right? Is like resentment doesn't really mean anything about another person. It just means that we have overextended ourselves and now we're resentful for that. So when we begin to experience resentment, right, we just okay, where am I overextending? Where am I overgiving? And that's where like the people pleasing comes in, like the codependency, and we feel like we're doing it to make ourselves happy, but then when our expectation isn't met, it's really hurting us. And so that's why it can't be based off of that. It has to just come from like you, right? Like I'm happy and I'm giving this out of abundance, not out of I need something in return type deal. So that's really cool, brother. What was the second thing that I like the second takeaway that you got from working with me?
That there's still things I still want to do. Just because I felt settled don't mean I have to give up on I wouldn't say dreams, but give up on goals and aspirations. There's doing some journaling made me realize there's still things I want to do yet.
Yeah.
Such as I want to buy myself a boat. My
Heck
kids
yeah.
are getting older, they're going to be out of school. I'm going to need something to do. I mean, that's just one example. There's a lot of other things if I sit down that, yeah, I say I want to still do this. I want to do this. Maybe I want to travel more and I didn't realize it till now.
Yeah.
Things like that. But there's still more. There's still more out there.
I love that. Like it's like your whole life wasn't just tied to this person. It's almost like you finally realized that.
I wouldn't say totally tied, but I would say like I was complacent. Like if this is how it is, for the rest of whatever, I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
Instead of, there's still something more I want, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to do what I got to do to get it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of rejuvenated in a way.
Yeah.
That's
And
still.
what's the third takeaway?
Third one is how to and we all do it. We all have negative thoughts all the time. How do you process these negative thoughts to get them in a neutral state and then move on about your day or move on to what you're trying to do instead of sit there in it and let it just eat you up and eat you up.
Yeah.
And it's, you believe what your brain tells you. So it's we retrain the brain
Yeah.
to process the negative thought into neutral and then positive thought. And then we go on.
Yeah.
And that's always been, always been a problem. And
Yeah.
tell you the truth, I still get negative thoughts,
Yeah.
but it don't eat at me. I can process it and move on now.
Yeah, which is key, because it's like I was saying even last night in the group coaching call, is that, even me, who I always do this stuff, it's like, as a human, naturally you're going to experience 50% negative, 50% positive, but it's what we choose, right, to like follow, that makes the difference. So I love that, brother. What was in your opinion, what was the turning point when we were working together? What exercise made it change? What coaching call made things shift? What realization did you have that just kind of made everything kind of like, you were like, oh man, I think I'm actually over this person? Because I remember you saying, like, we were meeting on one of our coaching calls, and you're like, yeah, I think it's going to take me like at least a year to like get over this, because you had been through a divorce before, but you were like, but this woman is like next level. I so much more, whatever. And I just remember you saying that and me kind of smirking, because you thought it was going to take way, way, way longer. And so what was the moment that things kind of shifted?
Um, Glad you got a better memory than me, because I don't know if I said a year, but if you remember it, because we've done a lot together. But where it shifted, I don't know where it first started. Was just a letter, just when we wrote out plan what the future, what you had in mind, or what it was going to be, and then let it go, throw it away, whatever. And that's where it, I think, kind of started. As far as the full turning point, I'm trying to think of this one because I don't know. I want to say it's our meeting where I said I'm just going to leave it up to God at that point. Like whatever he has is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I can't control the future. I can't control what's happened. I can control the now, and kind of wherever we go.
Yeah.
Is where I think, I don't know if you remember that meeting.
I do.
I think that's kind of the one that did it.
Yeah, I remember that, because I think most meetings before that were kind of they were all around her. Like, if she messages, if she doesn't message, and then after that point, everything moved, and it wasn't no longer about what if she does this or not, but it was just more about you, and then moving forward. And what's trippy is that you came in like just falling apart on calls, and then now you're like, I mean, in the dating game again. Hello. You know what I mean? At least you got your options open, right?
Right.
And then on top of that, you are going to be starting a business also. Like, it's
Yeah,
pretty
and
incredible.
to add into that, the once I could realize the abundance and scarcity, also made it much easier that there's she's not the only one. There are others.
Yeah.
So, it's once you can process that, then it helps.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what would you say to someone, man, that like, if they were in your shoes, 3.5 months ago when we first started working together, what would you say to that person?
Just trust the process and do the work. It's not, you just can't turn a switch overnight. It's just not how it works. You got to process everything, and all the drills and the homeworks you've given, it pays off in the end. You just got to do it. It's so hard at the beginning. There's
Yeah.
no question. It's so hard at the beginning.
Yes. I always tell people, I'm like, dude, the first month working with me is the hardest because I don't let you get away from your feelings. You have
Hmm.
to, you have to feel them, you know, because you got
Yep.
to feel it to heal it. That's just kind of how it is. What would you say to someone who says, man, I really want to work with Coach Frank, but it's just it's just too expensive, right? Because you were one of the highest packages because we were working one-on-one every single week. And then on top of that, you were doing the 1% men's group coach program. And so what would you say to someone who was like, dude, I don't want to spend money on this?
In the long run for your mental health, I think it's worth it. You might take a hit early, but over time, I think you're gonna be grateful you did it. You took a chance.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, we may not have the one-on-ones anymore, but it's everything you've given in the past, like stuff to do that, it's you're gonna have it for the rest of your life. It's not just
Yeah.
one and done type deal. So all the
Yeah.
stuff you learn, you can use it forever. So it's not just you know a big price up front because you'll get your money's worth.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome, man. Dude, well, I appreciate you big time. Hopefully this encourages someone that's like listening to it. Because at the end of the day, you know, like that's really what it's all about, is just helping people. And honestly, like I talk about you quite often whenever I talk to any other clients, just because I just remember whenever we first started meeting to where you're at now, and like you're gonna launch a business now, like your life is just looks even just different already. And just to see that you are creating a life that you love and something that
Mm-hmm.
you would, because I know you wanted the boat and you were like, yeah, I'll probably just do this as a side job or whatever. And I just remember challenging you and being like, well, what do you love? Like, what if you could get the boat and enjoy the process while doing it?
Yeah.
And then now you're going to start this business, which is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? And it's just incredible, brother. I love your story. I love just seeing where you came from to where you're at now in such a short time. And I hopefully it encourages someone to know, like, man, that can be me too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't have to be miserable forever, I guess.
Exactly, brother. Well, bro, thank you so much, man.